Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rico. I am Nico, and we're here this afternoon back at the Nico headquarters with another podcast.
Indeed,
All
indeed.
right. So, we were talking about some things that can be put on the podcast. And one of those topics was whether body count matters.
I don't know why we're
Why you
laughing.
laughing? No, you're laughing. I'm laughing because you're laughing.
Hey, okay.
So leave in the comments down below what you guys think. Don't forget to hit the like button as well. So what do you think, Richard? Do we think that body count matters?
Okay.
Why not?
So I'm gonna look at this from two perspectives going into this
Ah,
topic.
crap! I forgot my water bottle.
Oh
Right,
Lord,
it's fine.
you live. But
Hopefully,
let's so historically and culturally, especially when we look at say the dating market,
the what market?
the dating market,
Oh,
or even we look at the job market. When we look at any type of situation where someone has a history of a lot of a lot of instances without really a lot of with short durations of time, we look at that as inconsistency. So if you look at jobs used to be, why do you have so many jobs in a short amount of
in a short amount
time?
of time,
And
looks off.
it looks off to people because they're looking for longevity, looking for loyalty, they're looking for investment, right? Whatever. I don't know about those days still being accurate, but when it comes to, I guess, the body count of dating, and I guess for the idea of sexual conquest, I would say society, men and women do care about body count, but it's weird what it is. But me personally, do I care about body
Yeah.
count? I care about honesty. I care about honesty. Body count is important when it comes to
So just be honest about your
be
body
honest
count.
about your body count, and really body count really means like what how far are you taking it? Are you using protection? Are you protecting yourself? Really, that's what it is. Are you responsible with what you've done? Because realistically, if you've been a responsible adult, you protected yourself from disease, protected yourself from you know the liabilities that are children, then okay, whether you have your quirks and your kinks and whatever of have you,
It ain't
that's
all that
that
bad.
you. But as
Yeah.
long as you've been responsible with your dealings with other individuals, and you yourself, you don't have any mental health issues or whatever, it's not warped you into some weird person. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty much good with you as long as you're honest about it.
So you don't care as long as you've been protecting yourself, and also
I
that you're honest about.
I care about honesty, and I care about people being responsible with their bodies. So I do care.
Mm.
Now, body count. Now, if you got 100, 200 under your belt, I'm good. I'm good. That's not for me. That's just not for me.
I think
And
it's also about. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and my person's free to their history, their past, whatever they did.
Yeah, you were in there. You can say
Yeah,
much.
and I have no forbearance over the choices that you have made or that you will make in that regard. But for me, the count basically says amount of exposure. I would rather would deal with someone who has enough exposure to be experienced, but not overexposure to where it's just like, oh, okay, all right. I don't want when your private doings have such a prevalence that it can affect your public image. I'm good. I'm good on that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't want somebody's bedroom to affect their public image if it's in that way. What
Well,
about you?
I think I agree with all of that, but
Mhm.
also I think it's a thing about. It's kind of weird. I think it has to do with how you behave yourself now, because, like we said, the past is the past.
That's
I think it
fair.
also has to do with age. I
Okay.
think the older you are, I guess in other words, I want to say that it it kind of that I kind of do care, but
When
in
you're
the
older, as you're older.
no. So a high body count to me, like from the get go, without me even thinking of anything, just the first thing that comes to mind is, whoa, I'm not sure I'm okay with this. That's the first thing. And then, but when I've had the instances when I've been with girls who are on the higher end of a body count.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the beginning, yeah, I guess I judged, but then as the relationship, evolved, I kind of didn't care as much because I
Yeah.
could tell that those days were past.
Yeah. All
And at
right.
the end of the day, me thinking about it, I'm like, I mean, I'm not really a saint either, and you've heard the stories, so it's like I mean, yeah, you did these dumb things, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're here now,
Yeah, it
and
was.
you're not like 18 going crazy doing all these things. These things already happened, and I can tell that now that time has changed.
Yeah.
And after a few a time being together, I
Mm.
can kind of confirm that.
Yeah.
So I ended up being okay with it.
Yeah.
So basically, I thought I did, but then when I got to meet the people, it's like, it's not
Yeah, it
that big
becomes a
of a deal.
non-factor after a while.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
kind of
but if
feel
you're
it.
still doing it, it's like, I mean, hell no, I'm
Yeah,
not okay with
you
that.
said something interesting about when you said, at first, and you were like, I'm not sure if I'm okay with this. That's an
That's just
interesting
the
part.
first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, and
I'm not like, oh hell no, no,
yeah,
no.
and
It's
it's
just
interesting when I say it's like you're not okay with someone's past. Like I said, to add to
at the
point,
beginning.
at the beginning, this is where you start. You gotta meet someone at the beginning, right?
I don't have much to go off of. I
And you
mean,
just got to go off to the details that they
exactly.
provide you and whatnot. But I think it's interesting because when you say at the beginning, I didn't know if I was okay with the knowledge of their past. I look at it from my perspective, and I think you might share the same. It's not so much as you're not okay with their past. You got to find out if you're okay with exposing yourself to what they've been exposed to
You mean like STD wise?
in all regard. Think about it. You're exposing yourself because you're one-on-one with this person, and you're exposing yourself to whatever they've been in contact with, not just say STDs, but you're exposing yourself to whatever experiences and whatever traumas they've had through multiple partners. And it could work both ways. You could deal with someone who was married since they're out of high school that whole time, and say you're dealing with them now in their mid 30s, right? And they've only had one partner, and that's all they've known. That's their past. You have to deal with that person only having that aspect of
And if
experience.
if I if I knew that, say I'm
Mm-hmm.
hypothetical new person, if I knew that, which is kind of the opposite, I would also be like, really,
Yeah,
like
because you like think about it.
this is I don't
Yeah, you
know
like, oh,
this.
you've only had one person, so that means I might be.
I mean, one, two, or maybe just a
Yeah, but
very
think about
very
it. Like,
little
with a low
experience.
number, you have to deal with that's you're going to be gauged in context to those few people, especially if they were long relationships, very deep relationships. That's
That's
a
true.
that's an order to stack it. Or say it was multiple partners. You don't know what type of person that this person has encountered. Whether it's a spectrum, very very conservative, very liberal, some traumatic, and especially body count can sometimes for some individuals be through very very traumatic situations, or even there are women I
You
know
mean
that
because of traumatic situations?
I've known women that have been in traumatic situations where their body count is based on their the way they made money, and
Mm,
through that means, do you consider as official body count for what some women had to go through or what some women
I think
chose to
so.
go through?
I think so.
It's one of those. It's one of those factors, and that's when you get into the depth of a person to where, yeah, body count might be considerable, but in those situations, like, oh, it's
It's
a
a
whole other
little, yeah,
factor.
it's a little different. I met this one girl, and she told me about the high body count, but it was just it got a little detailed this one time, and we had just met. Now I was
Mhm.
like, I was completely turned off.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, her personality, I didn't like it. She was just way too intense and just all over me all the time and texting me. And if I didn't reply, it was very
Yeah,
toxic from the
her
beginning.
attachment
And
style is
then,
interesting.
so I could tell, at least in that example,
Mhm.
that she had changed. Then, she wanted me and whatever. So I would trust her in that sense. But at the same time, it's like, he's moving too fast. So that was a factor that I didn't want to continue
Yeah,
that
so it wasn't so much
relationship.
the body count; it was it was a attributed
Yeah.
factor, but it was all the other aspects that have might have been culminated from all those encounters with so many people.
Yeah.
All you need is a select few bad encounters,
Exactly.
or just an oversaturation of so many encounters that the one-on-one encounter with an individual might not have the same value as it would be if you had fewer encounters.
But to be honest,
Uh-huh.
if we went with the girl that, say 35 and just it's only been with two, maybe three guys
Mm-hmm.
versus a girl that's been with way more, I think at the same age or a little younger, I think I prefer this. If it was only based on that, I think I would prefer the second one because it's like a girl with like that little experience is like not only sex wise, but as in relationships, it's like I don't know.
Well,
I don't think it's
it depends on the duration of the relationships. Think about
I
someone.
don't
Think
really
about.
care. It's just
Well,
like
yeah, I think.
I'd rather have a girl that's like have a very high body count, and I know you're not like that anymore, than a girl that's got like pretty much no
But how
experience.
would you know that they? How would you know that that person? Because you know, behavior patterns can change, but a person at their core with that level of experience, you can't control their preferences. They might be like, oh, I don't indulge like that, but they have a certain level of experience where you might be compared to a lot of people. You know, you might. I've had better experience. I've traveled. Like, think about it. You are the local homegrown guy. Like, oh, okay, but she's seen the world, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm here now, and you're cool now, but I've seen the world. I've been in your part of the world. Whereas someone, I want to be limiting and restricting to this, but someone who's traveled very little, they can, I guess, take more nuance to where, you know, I haven't traveled that much, so but I know the value of where I have traveled.
Yeah.
So when they're with you, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. It's there's a little bit of a little bit of both. You know, there's a little bit of both.
It's a little
You
bit of
know,
both. And don't forget the body count, high or low, that's very subjective.
yeah, it's very
That's
subjective.
very subjective.
Very subjective.
Very
So
subjective.
yeah, it's so funny because I was talking to my god brother about like what you know, and I posed a question to a group. You know, would you date someone who was in the porn industry? And it was so interesting. A lot of people like nah. And I think it's not so much about it's not the count. It's the exposure. It's the
That
amount of
exposure
exposure.
is just
It's the amount of exposure because you're sharing yourself with someone and whatever they might have and whatever's in their life and you combine and you might create something with that person, good or bad. And it's just and it could create a life fracture. And then
But what did he say?
who?
The you said you were talking to someone about it.
Oh yeah, my god brother. He was like, no, he said it's based on the person. He's like, everybody got a pass, yada yada yada. And it
That's a
kind of
better answer because a lot of times we say, "Oh, I would" or "I wouldn't," but at the end of the day, it's BS. We
yeah
don't actually know that.
yeah because I look at not
I
just
would say no, but who knows?
yeah I look not at body counts is one factor, but think about it. What if you have people who've had multiple Baker acts? How do you think about someone who's had multiple times due to a chronic illness they've been in the they've been in the ICU. What about someone who's been who's routinely gone to jail for petty crimes? Say things like that. Those can have high frequencies. Those are considerable things. Those can be could be risky things to expose yourself to. Someone's, you know, past relationship number. There are factors could be, you know, could be dangerous in regards to or risk to expose to. But usually, if a person just been in a lot of say respectful and ethical, because you know monogamous relationships are starting to fade. But if someone's been in ethical and been in multiple ethical relationships with individuals and they've been respectful, but they've been high in count, it is what it is.
At the end of the day, like you said at the beginning, you just be honest, man.
Just be honest.
Just be honest, man.
And then it's twofold.
Yeah, and if I might say you meet someone and this is what happened, and I'm being honest about it. Yeah. And if you don't like it, you can get out.
Yeah, or like I'll say, look, if that doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. I'll move on because everybody has their preferences. Everybody, because both parties are exposing themselves to a new experience, and it's just like, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. That's too much for me. All right, I understand. Maybe this won't work between us. Some people like, look, you live too conservative a life. That's too restricted for me. Oh, whatever, especially because of religion. Oh, that's too restricted for me. Oh, okay, well, that's how I live my life. And it just doesn't mesh out. It's better to not try to force something for the convenience of the moment than just to be in dire misery because you forced it into something. So, but yeah, body count's another factor. It does have historical ramifications.
It's just that sometimes you can't help but the first thing you do is like judge, and I know it's messed up, but I think I've gotten better.
No, we're visual and we're calculating and compartmentalizing creatures. They said don't judge. You shouldn't judge unfairly. You should check your biases.
Exactly.
But you have those in place to mitigate risk and exposure. So you take in consideration all the things that you see as a risk and say, how do I best protect myself or guard myself against a potential issue.
But if you're still doing all this badass crap to this day, I will judge you and tell you to get the hell out.
I have to judge.
So it's
I have
not
to judge
okay.
my interaction with you,
okay.
and I have to judge my investment with you. You can still do what you want to do, but I judge you based on my level of interaction and investment in you. I have to make a sound judgment to say, hey, I can't change you from what you're doing, but I can choose not to interact or invest in you. So that's all it is.
I don't know. And also at the same time, a girl with a or no, I'm not gonna say that on the podcast. That's inappropriate. It's more fun with someone who has a higher body count. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, there we go.
It's usually more.
That's traipses into a whole nother world.
Yeah. I'm proud of myself. I worded that out in a very good way.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too.
Yeah,
I'm proud. So,
oh boy,
what do you guys think? High body count, comment.
high body count, boring people. I mean, low body count. It's up to you.
Boy,
it's up to you.
Like, subscribe, share, and comment.
Yeah, comment down below what you guys think.
Yeah, what you guys think.
That's all you got to do.
Don't put your number down there.
Don't put numbers down. Just hit the like button at least.
All right.
All right.
We'll go with that.
Have a good one. Thank you for watching this podcast.
Yo.